I've got my patterns. Do you?
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
This is my most favorite jumpsuit. It actually used to be way too big. I got it from a vintage shop a couple years ago, and I really doctored it to fit me. You can watch the video where I showed you how to do that. It is one of my proudest upcycles and most worn and complimented garments that I've ever made. So today I thought I would bring you along with me as I copy this garment, toile it, and make a final garment out of this gorgeous denim that I recently got. Because I was just wearing this, there's a few wrinkles in it, so I'm going to quickly iron this out so that it is ready to be copied. Ta-da! We've got some paper for tracing it out on. Some tracing paper is helpful, not absolutely necessary. A meter stick is super helpful. This is probably the only ruler you actually really need. And then these ones are helpful for curves, right angles, you know. Paper scissors, a rotary blade helps you trace through the fabric. An awl for drill holes like marking pockets. I prefer you use a pencil. Tape for when you make mistakes and for piecing things together. Weights help keep your garment in place as you work. And do I even need to say this? You need your garment. It's best to trace a garment when you turn it inside out. I'm going to start with the front pant. I'm going to make the outseam lay flat and also the inseam. The front pant is always the easiest to trace out. So I'm just going to trace out this shape. And I'm tracing where the stitching is, not on the outer edge, because we're going to add the seam allowance after. I use this little cutting mat to slide under the areas where I want to use my tracing wheel. Also going to mark where the pocket is as well. Okay, that's the front done. When it comes to the back, the seam and the end of the crotch is kind of folded under, so we have to trace out this area first, and then we have to add that little bit to the front here. Also, there's a dart here, so we're going to trace out this side, mark where the dart is, and then trace out the other side and measure the dart and transfer it on. Marking where the pocket goes with an awl. And something I didn't do on the front, this is the hemline, but I need to add the seam allowance, so I'm going to add 2.5 inches to the hem. Okay, this is the back pant done. So I'm going to match up the center front of the garment to the straight line on the paper. So I'm going to trace the bottom area first, and then I'm going to readjust and trace out the top area that's all scrunched up here. And then there is a little bit of gather in here, so I'm going to try to see how much there is and then just add it to the side seam later. You can also measure parts of the garment just to make sure that you got the right length. 6 1/4 exactly. So now I have to add that extra 1 1/4 at the edge here so that we add in the gathers there. I feel like this armhole is really shallow. This neckline is also way too shallow. Okay, once again, I'm gonna draw a guideline for the center back. I'll do a perpendicular line for the waist. The gathering area is, I'd say like 1.5 inches this time. We're adding an 1.5 inches, which I actually think should be added at the back. But I'm gonna add it to the side. Okay, now for the sleeve. Okay, first I'm going to draw a center line. Fold the shoulder right at the seam, and that's gonna be the center of your sleeve. So I've got the back sleeve right here. Flatten out the sleeve itself and trace around it super easily. Instead of the tracing wheel, because it's so thick, I'm just using my awl to get through. And write a B for back, or you could do a double notch. This is probably the easiest yet. Also gotta mark the center back and the shoulders. You really only need to trace out half of this. Then I would just place this on fold, and that is the collar. All I really have to do is measure the waistband in length and width and then trace that out. So just take my tape measure and measure from the buttonhole, because that's the actual center front. 7 1/4 front waist, 14 1/2 to center back. And then let me just measure the entire thing. And measure at the middle of the button, because that is where the actual center of the front is. 28 3/4 in total. The width looks like 1.5 inches to me. I'm only going to make half of the waistband. Half of 28 3/4 is 14 3/8. It was 7 1/2 for the side seam, so the side seam is going to be here. 1 3/4 width. Super easy. I've got all of my pieces traced out. Now we're gonna just doctor them up, create some pocket pattern pieces, and then we can cut out our 12. So I kind of feel like making pancakes. I'm sufficiently energized, and I'm ready to continue. Basically what I'm gonna do now is just match up seams. Like for example, here's the sleeve. And I just wanna make sure this side and this side are the same length and match up properly. I got out my cutting mat because we are gonna start tracing with the tracing wheel to create all the pieces for this pocket. I just need to transfer it onto paper and add seam allowance. Here is my beautiful pocket. Done all the pocket pieces. I kind of like how big this back pocket is. I think it has to be a little bit narrower, a little bit shorter. 6 1/4, ooh, 8. Okay, remove an inch here, remove an inch there. You get a perfect pocket. How you like this pocket? Oh, you got to pick a pocket or two, boys. You got to pick a pocket or two. Oliver Twist, anyone? Pepper is here to inspect as well. What I've done with the front is I've opened up the neckline a little bit, lowered the front armhole. This is not supposed to be there. I moved up the pocket placement. I added a dart, but I could also gather two if I wanted to. I marked where I want the zipper to be. I made an extension for the zipper, and it has a fold. It's folded once and twice, and it all fits underneath at this curve. For the back, I opened up the neckline by a 1/2 inch all the way along it, brought up the underarm, moved in the shoulder to match the front. Good to go. We also have a pocket bag, which is gonna fold over. That is going to probably be placed slightly lower, and then the flap, which is slightly wider, and it also has that trapezoidal shape. Next, I have the sleeve, which I reduced in the middle because I walked it along the front and back armhole and it didn't fit exactly. I had to take off a bunch on it, so I took it off in the middle. Next, I have the lovely front pant. I added a fly right here instead of making a separate piece. So on the one side, I'm gonna cut out this fly on the pant, and on the other side, I'm gonna just fold it back at the normal seam allowance and cut it out. This will also be folded back. And this extension piece will be added in here. Here we have the pocket bag. It matches up exactly with the edge. It's going to be on fold. On one side, I'm gonna cut out the whole shape, and on the other side, I'm gonna fold this back, and that's gonna be our pocket opening. So it's just one big piece that's folded here. And then we have to add the pocket backing and the pocket facing that goes along the pocket opening. This will be in a lighter cotton fabric, and these will be in the main self fabric. Another thing we have here is the waistband. I drew this kind of backwards, so this is the center front, which would go here. So it'd be like this, match up at the side seam. And then this portion will be the back, half of the back. Gonna be center back on fold. And we have the back pant with the dart. I altered the back crotch so that it was a little more curved in. And then we have our back pocket, trapezoidal shape. It'll probably go somewhere like this. So yeah. I also have my collar. Because I adjusted the neckline, I had to adjust the collar. So I just drafted this. It's a pretty easy draft. It'll be center back on fold, and as you usually do with a collar, the under collar will be an 1/8 smaller just along these edges so that it will pull it in and look gorgeous. I've got my patterns, do you? Cutting mats, not one, but two. Only the best scissors ever. Back pants done. All right, so I'm gonna quickly sew this up and then show you what it looks like, hoping that we don't have to make any changes. Ta-da! I got the hardest part done, the zipper. It is done. The great reveal. I'm stoked about this pattern because it does look like the original. There are a few things that I want to change. I'm very excited for my final make in the denim fabric. I feel like that denim is just iconic. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. See you guys next time. Bye!